Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be making a video on my stats and ECs, basically detailing everything that I did in high school. I want to make a quick disclaimer that I am not an admissions expert or pro or counselor. I don't know exactly what got me into Columbia, and I literally got rejected from half the schools I applied to. So please take any advice that I say with some moderation. I'm also not claiming that my application is some kind of formula that you can copy to get into a certain school. Do not do that. I'm just sharing my experience in high school, and I'm sharing it with you guys, kind of what I did and just what I kind of put on my application. But just take everything with some moderation. And I will be giving advice throughout this video, so just please take that with some moderation and caution as well. Before I get into my application itself, I do want to give some history on my school. So one thing is that my school is based in Kansas, and we run on an AP system. We have no IB, we just have AP. We have about 15 to 20 AP classes, and then we have no class rank. And then our class size is about 363 students, around there. I might be a little under, I don't really know, but it's around that number. And we have no class rank, so I don't have a rank that I can give you guys. Now I'm going to be detailing the AP courses I took in high school, and kind of like what classes I took each year. In terms of AP classes, I'm not going to detail each class I took because that would kind of waste your time. And I'll also say the score I got on the AP exam. Also, quick note, I did not take every AP exam for like each class I took. Like I didn't take every AP exam, and I'll make sure to say that for each class. So starting off freshman year, I took AP Human Geography. That's like the only class we could really take during freshman year in terms of an AP class, and I got a 5 on the exam. During sophomore year, I took 3 AP classes. I took AP World and I got a 5. I took AP Macroeconomics online as an extra hour, and I got a 5. And I took AP Microeconomics as well, and I got a 4 during my sophomore year. One tip that I have is that macroeconomics and microeconomics were online classes that I requested from my counselor to take as an extra hour during my sophomore year. And I think that there are a lot of opportunities sometimes at your school that like you can take this class online as an extra hour, or there's always opportunities that you can kind of seek out to help further boost your academic rigor. One thing I do want to say is that that's not like a requirement or anything. Like I've said, like you don't need to take extra classes, online classes, whatever. It's just something I did because I wanted to push myself a little bit. The next thing I'm going to cover is my junior and senior year classes that I took in terms of AP classes, and then the scores I got with them. So I took 5 AP classes in junior year. I took AP Physics 1 and I got a 4 on the exam. I took AP Lang, I got a 5. I took AP Chemistry, I got a 5. I took AP US History, I got a 4. And then I took AP Pre-Calculus, and I did not take the exam for it because like usually you don't really get credit for it. One thing I did want to say about my math pathway is that I had a lot of schedule conflicts that didn't allow me to like take like the accelerated math pathway. I'm not going to get too much into that, but basically I had to take AP Pre-Calc because I had a schedule conflict with other classes. So yeah, that's my junior year. I took 5 AP classes. Senior year, I took 4 AP classes. I took AP Literature and Composition. I did not take the exam because I had already gotten a 5 on the AP Lang exam, so I didn't really think I needed to take the exam. It's usually the same credit. I took AP Physics 2 and didn't take the exam. I took AP Gov, and I took the exam, but I don't know my score yet. And then I took AP Calculus AB because that's usually what you take after pre-calc. Now I'm going to report my standardized test taking, specifically the ACT. And I took the ACT, I think about 3 to 4 times. I can't actually remember. I think about 3 to 4. And my composite score was a 33, and my super score was a 34. And I'm going to break down my super score. I got a 36 on science, 32 on reading, 33 on English, and a 34 on math. Now, what does this say? What I think is like, or let me rephrase that. The median at Columbia is 34 to 35. And the high is obviously 36. And then on the lower end, I'm assuming it's about a 33, which is what I had. Columbia does consider super score, so that might have helped me a little bit there. But in general, I was lower than the median in theory, because I mean, the median's about 34, 35. My composite was a 33. My super score was a 34. So I was on the lower spectrum of test scores in this cycle, I would say. Okay, so now I'm gonna get into my GPA. We had a weighted and unweighted system on a 4.0 scale. So my unweighted GPA was a 4.0, and my weighted GPA was a 4.77, and at its peak, it was a 4.8. And what that means is basically during my junior year, I had a 4.8, but during my senior year, I took this program that was like unweighted. And what ended up happening was like my GPA went down because of that. So it was a 4.77, but at its peak, it was a 4.8 in junior year. But currently it's a 4.77, and that's technically what was like my final GPA that I submitted to them. Well, actually, I don't know. It was around that range. I guess we'll say that. But yeah, one thing I have about GPA is like it's important, of course. Every factor in this college admissions process is incredibly important. But one thing on GPA is just like don't absolutely like stress over it really. Like, and what I mean by that is just have a good balance of trying to get a high slash good GPA while balancing extracurriculars. There are trade-offs and balances in this process, and it's important to achieve that balance, like not achieve that balance, but get close to it and kind of make some trade-offs, or not even trade-offs, but just have a balance, right? Like, for example, had I went for a higher GPA, my extracurriculars might have been worse because I would have had less time to spend on them, or I wouldn't have as much time to develop them. So see what I mean? Like this was like the balance that I feel I could do is like get this GPA while still being able to do the extracurriculars I want to do and do them at a high level and do them passionately. So just kind of those balances that is important to consider in GPA. But like I said, every factor is important in this process. It's not just one, which is both a benefit and a curse, but yeah. Okay, now I'm gonna cover honors. So the 5 awards basically that Common App asks you to put on your application. My first one was being a 2025 Yep KC Scholar, which I achieved in 11th grade or my junior year summer, and it was a state/regional thing. My next award was national. It was just piano awards, basically. Basically called the National Federation of Music Clubs and just some festivals. And that was through all of my grade levels, and I got like kind of highest honors and like just really like high ratings in theory and piano performance. And my levels of recognition were state, regional, as well as national. My third honor was being a First Tech Challenge and First Robotics Competition Dean's List semifinalist, now known as the First Leadership Award, which I achieved in 11th grade. So I was elected from both my robotics teams, which is something I'll get into my extracurriculars a little bit. And that was a state/regional recognition. My fourth award or honor was being a DECA ICDC competitor in marketing role plays, both during my sophomore year and my junior year, which was international recognition / state recognition. Kind of both, I guess. It's kind of weird, but yeah, basically both, because I did really well at state, but I competed at international, so kind of both. And then my last honor was AP Scholar with Distinction, which I achieved in 11th grade, and that was a national level of recognition. One thing I do have on honors is that just try and do your best and try and see what you can, achieve, I guess, in your extracurriculars. I never really chased awards or honors. I just did my extracurriculars in high school, did what I enjoyed, and these are kind of the things that came with it. That's kind of the way I treated it. Not saying you should do that as well. But yeah, I think awards, just don't put them off. Like, they do matter, but you won't be completely cooked if you don't have like international level awards or like just insane cracked awards. I don't. This is the weakest part of my application by far. Like, all these awards are not like insane, like I feel like Yep KC Scholar was kind of cool because it was pretty distinctive, and piano's cool. But like the semi-finalist stuff with robotics, ICDC, Scholar Distinction can be seen in a lot of other applications, but overall, it's important, of course, as in any other process or any other part of the application, and just try your best to see like what achievements you can get. But it just wasn't really my goal. Like I've said before, in this application, I never tried to get into a certain school. I just did what I did in high school because I enjoyed it. I was passionate. Okay, so now we're gonna get into like the main part of this video, which is my extracurriculars. This part is a little more like, I'm kind of just going off script a little bit here and just kind of elaborating on each extracurricular, going from 1 to 10. And then I'm also gonna go through my additional information section because I actually had a lot of important stuff on there too regarding schedule conflicts, a really cool activity / program I did, and then just some other stuff as well. So my first activity was under the activity type or category of robotics, and my position leadership description was co-founder. So I co-founded the team, and then I was also mechanical fundraising and outreach lead. And then the team is 25A25. The Mechanical Huskies is the name of the team, and it's an FTC team, a First Tech Challenge team. And the description I put is I fundraised about $8,000, $8,000 to $9,000, and I led about 12 to 15 members in CAD prototyping and testing, and I mentored a lot of new teammates in order to foster curiosity, confidence, and mechanical ingenuity across our school. I co-founded the team during my sophomore year summer, so the participation was my 11th grade and 12th grade, so not my sophomore or freshman year. My second activity is more on the academic side, and it was DECA. I was the president and 2526 chapter leader. And basically the description I put was I coordinated about 13 students to mentor 110 plus members, and I built prep guides, workshops, in order to boost entrepreneurial engagement and competitive success. And I participated in DECA all 4 years. I did it during my school year, during the school year. My third activity was again robotics. I was the co-captain as well as the mechanical and outreach lead. As well as fundraising. So I added mechanical fundraising outreach plus co-captain, and the team was 2410. And I secured, the description is that I secured $12,000 in sponsorships. I led about 20 plus students to design, fabricate, and wire robots. And I built a student-run pipeline, turning members to strong sub-team leads. So I also tried to, in this description, focus more on like how I'm turning students into engineers and leaders. Trying to vary this description for robotics with the first robotics, my first activity that was robotics. I tried to vary the descriptions a little bit so that I could show that I'm doing kind of two different, not exactly things, but I'm kind of approaching these activities in different manners. So if you have similar activities that are like two similar activities, try and differentiate them a little bit in your description so they don't sound the exact same. I did this throughout, I did it all 4 years. I did it during the school year. Okay, now I'm gonna go into my fourth activity, which was an internship. Then the description or the title was Data Processing and Operations Intern at TreviPay, which is basically a finance business-to-business payment company that I worked for. And just parts of my like internship included managing invoicing platforms, keying invoices, and overseeing some embossing programs to ensure payment accuracy and data management workflow. I did this during my junior year summer, so it was a summer internship. I spent about 32 hours per week across 8 weeks, and that was my internship. My fifth activity was community service, and I was the vice president of activities and community service for Kansas Association for Youth, which is basically like a volunteering club at our school. I basically connected over 150 members to various community service opportunities and projects in order to expand civic engagement. I was in this for all 4 years, and I did this during the school year. Spent about 3 hours per week across 34 weeks. My sixth activity was science math. It was being the president of my Science National Honor Society chapter, which basically promotes STEM across our school and community. I organized various STEM socials and community service projects for about 70 members, which strengthened our school-wide STEM engagement and curiosity. I participated in this activity during my junior and senior year. During the school year, spent about 3 hours per week, and 32 weeks spent per year. My seventh activity was work. I was a server, runner, and busser at Tallgrass Creek, which is a senior living community that I worked at. And I just served meals to various residents, collaborated with employees, managing various responsibilities to maintain an efficient workflow, just being a server, basically. And I did this during my sophomore year and junior year, so I basically worked a job throughout basically all year. So I did it summer break as well as during the school year, so it was not a full-time, but like throughout the year job. I spent about 12 hours per week. So I didn't spend too many hours per week just because it was a bit hard to juggle with school. So I kind of just cut down a little bit on the hours for my job, but it still was able to do it. And then I spent about 28 weeks per year. My eighth activity was instrumental music. So I was a state and national competitive pianist, which I've mentioned in my awards. I basically practiced and studied music theory. I competed at fall and spring festivals which I performed Baroque, classical, romantic, and contemporary piano pieces. I participated in this activity for all 4 years, did this all year. I would say I'd spend about 1.5, 2 hours a week across 46 weeks. My ninth activity is sports. I did tennis, and my description for this was like kind of weird. I just said like I trained year round with like teammates. I like competed in some meets. Sports are a really hard description. I would say like I don't really know how I would describe it, to be honest. So yeah, I'd say that's something I don't know. Like I don't know how to describe sports on the Common App. I would definitely do some research or watch a video on that because I think I struggled with this description. I did this during my sophomore year, junior year, and senior year. During the school year, spent about 8 hours per week, about 8 weeks per year. Okay, so those are my extracurriculars. As you can see, it's pretty robotics heavy as well as like business heavy in the first 4 activities. I'm just gonna focus on the first 4 because those are like your primary ones. I just loved robotics. I joined it as freshman year, loved it. That's why I started my own team, and that's why I just did so much robotics, especially first robotics specifically. Again, extracurriculars, I just did what I enjoyed in high school. Freshman year, I explored clubs. Sophomore year, I'm like, okay, this is what I want to do. Junior year, I was like, now I want to lead this stuff because it's cool, and leading this stuff would allow me to make greater impact in the community. And then kind of just develop that to senior year. So I just did what I enjoyed in high school. That's what shaped my extracurriculars, and I went from there. So yeah. Okay, so now I'm gonna just outline a few things from my additional information section. I basically used all 300 words because I had a lot of things I wanted to clarify. The first thing I said was that I wanted to take certain AP computer science classes, and I also wanted to take calculus BC, but I had a lot of scheduling conflicts, which didn't allow me to take as high of an academic rigorous schedule as I wanted to. So what I said in my additional info section is, okay, how did I combat this? Or how did I solve this problem that I had? What I said is that I utilized like various resources such as robotics off seasons, so basically summers and just times where we weren't working directly on the robot. I also utilized robotics mentors and online resources to dive further into programming because those were the classes I weren't taking. So I was showing them how I addressed that disparity. My second one was probably the coolest thing, or not the coolest thing, but it was something that I kind of debated on even putting it as an activity. Like it's a huge deal, but it wasn't fully developed yet, which is why I didn't put it as an activity. And I feel like if I put it in my additional info section, I could have written more about it. That was like my thought process. I'll just say it. Basically, I was an outreach lead for my FTC team, and I basically started, me and my coach, basically, and our team, basically, we started a first robotics curriculum at our feeder elementary and middle school, and we were able to fundraise around $15,000, where we were able to purchase robotics kits, created order sheets, and we basically just did a lot of the logistic work to start robotics curriculums at our feeder middle school and elementary school. Then at the end, I kind of just said I did some passion projects. Like, I feel like this section you might not need to add. Like, I don't know. I kind of just did this because I had space. But I said I did a lot of passion projects. How I designed like custom frames and swerve drivetrains, which would increase the speed of our robot and make it more efficient. And then I said like, this would allow our team to move beyond standard vendor solutions and kind of experiment with robotic designs. Before I end the video, I'm going to give 5 pieces of advice that I think are very important to the college admissions process. So this is from my personal experience, but also just what I've heard through other people's experiences and just watching other people's YouTube videos. So the first piece of advice that I have is start early and messy. So starting early is pretty self-explanatory. Just start in the summer. I would say after school ends, take a week or 2 off to yourself and then start. Having that 2 to 3 extra months is so beneficial because you can start drafting your college list, you can start your personal statement and even complete it, like at least have it mostly completed before school even starts the next year. And you can just do a lot of things to prepare yourself, both logistically and mentally for the college admissions process. So use the summer wisely. Even if that's 1 or 2 hours a day, that still adds up to a lot of work and progress being made to your college admissions process. I would say the 2 main things you should be starting early are your college list and probably your personal statement. I might be missing some things, but I'd say those are the 2 main things that I worked on. Or if you're the third thing could be like if you're taking a standardized test like ACT, SAT, you're trying to get that like last minute like the score you need, then that is also a great way to like utilize the summer. Now the messy part of it, and what I think this is a lot, I think a lot of people mess up. I think because like a lot of people are trying to envision the perfect idea or like the perfect essay, the perfect personal statement, just the perfect like application before you guys actually put anything down, which is a huge mistake because it's just not easy to like spawn in like a perfect amazing application. It takes a lot of iteration and drafting. So like for example, the best personal statement I wrote was after writing over 50 rough drafts of my personal statement, and I'm not joking. I'll put up like a scroll of the docs, like a scroll of like my Common App doc. It's like literally 80 pages long. And like the best stuff that I had written and stuff was just like things that like where I iterated on and kind of went through drafts instead of just trying to get the perfect idea. So my second piece of advice, which is a bit obvious, is networking. And what I mean by networking is I feel like that might be obvious where like I guess it might not be as obvious, but my point with networking is network with people who go to the schools that you want to apply to. So for example, that you can use LinkedIn, Instagram, whatever you want to do, whatever works for you. But let's say you're applying to Duke, right? A school like Duke, Purdue, Princeton, right? Whatever. Find a person that goes to that school. If you know someone, great. But if you don't, find someone on LinkedIn or just try and network with people. And there's probably going to be someone who is willing to help you. Just take a quick glance at your essays and like for 5-10 minutes, which can, and from a student that goes to that school, that means like that is a huge help. So if you network really well, you can get almost like a student from that school to look at the school you're applying to. So you can kind of have like a mentor or like an advisor for each of the colleges you're applying to. Like for mine, for the 18 I applied to, I think I had someone from that school look at it for at least 13 to 15 of them, which really helped like boost my essays. And just made me more confident when I submitted them because I had someone who goes to that school read them. So if you network really well, you can kind of have like an advisor for each school, which will lead to a lot of stronger essays. And also networking just means literally have people like at the bare minimum, just have others read your essays for every college. My third piece of advice, and this is really tailored to essays itself. It's something you've probably heard of before, but whenever you're writing your essays, read them out loud. And reading it out loud is such a nice way to kind of catch mistakes in your essays. And I'm sure a lot of people you've done this before, but I think you should do it more frequently than you think because reading it out loud doesn't just catch grammar, but it literally just catches like, oh, that like, it kind of catches I don't know how to put it, like the tone of the sentence, like not even the tone, but it catches like whether the sentence is just like awkward or structured weirdly, worded badly, like it just catches a lot of issues in your essay that are mostly grammar related, but also clarity related. So reading your essays out loud is a very, very good thing to do to just fix your clarity, make sure you're wording sentences correctly that make sense, and then your grammar is overall just solid. The other piece of advice connected to this is also show, don't tell. And this is such a common piece of advice, and I will continue to reiterate it. Show, don't tell is like the 3 words that I feel like define college essays. Because telling makes stories boring, showing makes things interesting. And if you use show, don't tell, if you kind of implement that kind of strategy or mindset when writing your essays, then what's going to happen is moments or scenes that may look somewhat boring or ordinary at first, or even like just not as interesting as you're trying to make it out to be, when you kind of have that show don't tell mindset, you can make boring ordinary moments and turn them into something incredibly interesting and like actually meaningful and insightful. My fourth piece of advice is something that I personally struggled to do, and this is related to essays. Your goal with your essay isn't for them to remember what you exactly said in your essay. I mean, it is, of course. They should be able to obviously like have an idea of what you said. But the goal is for you to have them remember how they felt when they read your essay. I feel like emotions is a very important part in the process. And what I mean by that is if your essay can invoke some sense of emotion, whether that's laughter, like humor or laughter, maybe joy or sadness or maybe reflection or, really any emotion, within the admissions officer, if your essay can do that effectively and make a college admissions officer really think about their own emotions, or like feel emotionally attached to your essay, or have a reaction to it, that's when you know you've written a good essay. And obviously you're not going to be able to witness that reaction, but I'm saying consider that when you write it. When you kind of enter the perspective of an admissions officer when writing your essays, you'll realize what looks good and what looks bad, and that'll lead you to write stronger essays. But especially play on the idea of emotions and try and have your essay evoke some kind of emotion throughout the essay, or multiple different emotions, because I feel like that's how college admissions officers remember your essay, instead of kind of throwing it away in a pile or just kind of not being able to even recall it. So that would be a suggestion I have on essays. My fifth piece of advice isn't exactly a piece of advice, it's more just like a mindset, or like something to consider, is this process, the college admissions process in general, throughout the entire thing, it just makes you learn so much about yourself. And that's something that not a lot of other things in life can do. It's like you learn so much about yourself through this process, because every activity you write, you did. Every essay you write, you did, right? You're just so immersed in writing, in describing yourself to a college, that you end up learning so much about yourself, weirdly enough. And this was like so true when writing my personal statement. Like I had literally, I had like explored so many different topics, and I'd realized like how many things were kind of interesting about my identity, but it's like hard to kind of pick one and like understand how to show it to a college. So just understand that this process allows you to learn a lot about yourself, and you should enjoy that process and have fun with this. Like generally speaking, and this applies to essays especially, don't write about an essay topic that looks good on paper or that's good for the prompt. Obviously, yes, do that, but but make sure that topic is something you're truly passionate about and something you want to write about. Think about it in this way. In high school, the reason why you had this success of, maybe you're starting a business, starting a club, maybe you got some internship, you got into some program, research, whatever, right? Why did all of that happen? All of that happened because you passionately invested your time into it. You were so interested, so passionate about it, and that's exactly why all that success came. In essays, that success is only going to come with the same exact mindset. You need to put that same exact passion and energy into your essays. Have fun with it and like enjoy writing essays is my point. Because if you don't enjoy it, you're not going to be passionate about what you're writing. You're not going to have that energy into the essay, and then your essay is just going to fall a little flat, and it's just going to be kind of rudimentary. And then I didn't add the sixth piece of advice, but I'm just going to say this. It doesn't matter what college you get into. The person determines the success that, let me rephrase that. The person determines their own success, not the college. And I know that might be easy for me to say, but trust me, like I know many people who have gone on to do great things regardless of what college they've went to. And that's both speaking from my experience and just people that I know that are older than me. So that's the end of the video. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys learned a little bit more about my experience throughout high school and the college admissions process, as well as just the advice that I have from my personal experience, as well as just observing others' experience. I'm gonna put my email in the description below, so if you want to reach out with help regarding essays, activities, activity descriptions, maybe even advice on test taking, which I'm not the strongest with, but I can maybe guide you somewhere. Anything you really need, just reach out and I'd be happy to help. So see you guys.